subject is are we thankful to God for America? Well, actually, I think all of us to a certain degree are thankful. Thankful that we live in America. But sometimes we take things for granted, but we've had some rough times, and right now I think we've got, more cause than we've had in a while to be thankful. We live in the greatest and most blessed country in the world, and that's quite a statement, but I think it's a true statement. When you go back from the time this country was founded and the principles it was founded on, and the men that founded it. So I think it's a true statement that we live in the greatest and most blessed country in the world. But we had some previous years. I put down here 4 years, but actually it's been probably a few decades. We've been drifting. We've been really drifting in a direction that wasn't good. And we saw so many of our blessings just kind of begin to slip away, to diminish or be taken away. Our wealth, was slipped away at one time. We were not a debtor nation. But we drifted into that. Our wealth was replaced by debt, and still is. And our religious freedom began to drift away. More scientific we became, and the more we looked to scientific knowledge, began to compromise on religion and the freedoms of religion. And national and personal safety became endangered. Open borders. Who would have ever thought America would throw their borders open? You could just come rushing in with whatever, didn't matter what, and you was rewarded for it immediately, given money, given free lodging, medical care, all this stuff. And our national and personal safety was endangered by the open borders. And of course our national wealth wasted on foreign wars and illegal aliens and by crooked politicians and leaders. It just going. I think we became, we just kind of got used to it and kind of thought, well, it's the way it's going to be. But it seems that God has given us another chance. Might be too early to say that, but that's the way it seems to me right now. There's been a drastic change in America. He's given us another chance to once again be blessed of God, and obedient, I hope. We now have a leader, I believe, blessed by God, quite greatly blessed by God. And I don't say that lightly. I think that's true. It seems evident to me from all that's happened to this man. And he's working to restore America to a representative republic, of all things, which we were losing that, lost a lot of it, based on biblical principles. As we were founded in the first place. And I think we were told by maybe more than one of the founding fathers, we've given you a representative republic if you can keep it. And also to restore inalienable rights. And that was something that we began to really lose. Inalienable rights not given by man or even a Constitution. It was enshrined in the Constitution, but rights by God, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, given by God, But now in a short 7 months, we've seen great improvement. We now have, I'd say, secure borders. I think they said the last 3 months, 0 people released into the country. Now there's probably been some sneak in, but none released by the Border Patrol. So that we secure borders, and that's a big one. Tax cuts. You know, they passed that bill. If they hadn't passed that bill, the taxes would have jumped up, I think, a little over 50% back to what they were in 2014, I believe. And we've actually had federal spending cuts. And not only spending cuts, but a reduction in federal, I guess you could call them employees. Don't know what they did, some of them. And fair trade policies. You know, we always heard so much about free trade. It seemed that all the people were for free trade. Well, it wasn't free for us. Kind of like fair trade a little bit. And the federal bureaucracies have been diminished in size and in scope. Some, at least 2 or 3 of the bureaus are, I think, education, EPA. I'm not sure about it. They're really going to phase those out. Maybe the IRS. Who knows? Wouldn't that be something? And the fair trade policies established by presidential proclamation and by tariffs. Actually, that's the tool being used as leverage to get that. You don't get fair trade for nothing. You could ask for it, but if you don't have some penalties there. And of course, tax cuts and reduced bureaucratic regulations. And of all things, President Trump is, I think, doing his best to put an end to discrimination against Christians. I know he sent out a proclamation to the, I guess, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, no more discrimination against Christians. In other words, if you're a Christian, you need not apply. And it wasn't open discrimination. They didn't flat say it, but it was there. And I'm glad the president did openly say it and put out his proclamation on that. And also, he hasn't. I don't think they put anything in effect yet, but his intention is that we have fair election days, not election seasons or weeks or months, but fair election days with paper ballots. You know, he said that from the Oval Office, I think, more than once. So I guess they'll have to codify that somehow with laws. I don't know. And then we must ask, can one man do all this? Can a 79-year-old man have such mental and physical stamina? Well, I guess it's possible. I don't know. Myself, I think it's God's blessing. I know. Well, I wrote here: has Americans' prayers for a good God-fearing leader been answered? I think yes. But does God have His hand on the president, actually empowering the president? I, for one, believe yes. I don't believe that a man can do all that this man does, even physically and mentally too. He's busy all the time. But President Trump, we have to remember, he's an imperfect man, like we all are. But also, God can do wonderful things through mortal men. You know, it's not a political statement or anything, but I think we have to give that blessing to God. You know, the things we're seeing done is blessings from God through our president. So, and I think we've seen that in the past. You can look in the Bible, all the great men and men that had great things to do. God empowered those men, from prophets. My mind goes to King Saul when he was elected king. When he was anointed, he immediately started prophesying. You know, he had God's spirit and blessing for a while until he lost it. And of course, we can think of just many people. The Apostle Paul, another, all the apostles. When they were chosen, they didn't choose Christ, he chose them. And he empowered them. He breathed his spirit on them, but even after that, they were not what they really should have been. They were still weak. They still made mistakes. They doubted at times. They couldn't understand that he would come to earth. He was going to be sacrificed, give his life for me. And they wanted a king to right all wrongs, just like I guess we all do. But after Pentecost, after they received that Holy Spirit in power, they were definitely changed men. They weren't afraid. They weren't confused. They weren't anything. They went out and did the job they were supposed to do. And you can look all through the Bible and history and see that thing, that men empowered by God do great things. So I just wrote here, maybe we should keep, that's kind of tongue-in-cheek, we definitely should keep praying for President Trump and America and peace on earth. If America learns to trust in God, as it says on our coins, we will certainly have a brighter future, I think. Maybe these blessings could continue.